All right, guys, welcome in here to Slaughterhouse Sports, and I wanted to talk about some interesting developments. Really, Arizona State and the coaching staff that they have, it's like my favorite staff in all of the country. I love what Kenny Dillingham has done his entire career. You know, I followed him at Memphis, and then he was with Mike Norvell, very young, energetic coach. Then he, went to Florida State, did a pretty decent job there, getting Jordan Travis ready to flourish. And then Dan Lanning hired him, and it was, a much maligned hire for a really young coach. And then, of course, he knocked it out of the park, and now he's at Arizona State. He gets Brian Ward to come with him from Washington State. Brian Ward's from the area as well, Charlie Ragle. So the thing is about, Kenny Dillingham is that he grew up in Phoenix, and this year they actually upset UCLA. They played Colorado down to the wire. They played Washington down to the wire, and then they also beat Washington State with their third-string quarterback. Drew Pine was out for the year. Jaden Rashada, a high four-star, quarterback, got injured early. They've literally lost like every single lineman. It's just they've been decimated by injuries. It's been insane, just an insane season. There's been the bowl game was taken away from Arizona State before the season. The Pac-12 was incredible. There are all these sanctions with Herm Edwards and all of this, recruiting, allegations from the NCAA and all of these problems, and they had to self-impose a bowl ban, and Kenny Dillingham didn't even know about it. All right. Then you have Ray Anderson say that he doesn't want to go to West Virginia up in the cold weather. Arizona State and Arizona both were, the Pac-12 deal was just, absolutely crazy. The Big 12 and Pac-12, the way it dissolved. And really with Ray Anderson, it looked like it was a shaky situation. Then Ray Anderson just resigned. And now Dylan Tapley, one of the best recruits in the Scottsdale area, one of the earliest commits to Arizona State, changes his commitment to in-state Arizona. Arizona's having their own problem with funding, too. They might have to cut sports, the University of Arizona. It's just a freaking mess out there in the state of Arizona. But really at Arizona State, the bowl ban, Ray Anderson resigning. Kenny Dillingham said at his last, meeting that, hey, if we want to get great players, we're going to have to activate the Valley and pour into, these players and pour into the NIL. And I think that NIL is very behind. Also, Kenny Dillingham is looking at his peers. Who are his two peers? It's Mike Norvell and it's Dan Lanning. Okay, and Dan Lanning and Oregon, they're incredible. They have every resource you can want at Nike. They're probably going to come and beat Arizona State by like 30 and on their way to maybe a national championship. And then you have Florida State, who might be in the playoff as well. And then Kenny Dillingham, I know that home and loyalty is so important, but he's going to be 32, 33 years old. And I know that he set up this staff and everything, but the point is that Brian Ward's a great defensive coach, but he's going to see his peers go on to maybe the college football playoff. And his peers are going to be in the top 10 in recruiting and have all the NIL and have everything. And then if UCLA calls and says, hey, Kenny, do you want to be in the Big Ten Conference? Do you want to get a ton more NIL, a ton more booster support? Do you really want to compete with the big boys for a championship immediately? I mean, Dillingham's seeing how hard this job is, okay? I'm just pointing out the realities of it. I would like to see Dillingham stay at Arizona State. I also would not blame him if he's actually curious about other jobs, because that's the way that life works, but also it's the way, too, that the dysfunction of Arizona State football right now is really cannot be overstated. It's completely dysfunctional. They don't have an AD. They don't know what they're doing going to the Big 12 conference. They self-imposed bowl ban on Kenny Dillingham, had to adjust his whole contract. The NIL game isn't coming in hot. The recruiting is in the 40s and the 50s, and they have really good recruiters on that staff. I mean, Rashad Samples is going to be a terrific coach. The cornerback coach from Texas is a total stud. Charlie Ragle, like I pointed out, Charlie Ward's fantastic. So it's all local guys from Arizona State. So Dillingham's probably going to stick this thing out at Arizona State. I think he wants to build back his alma mater. But it's just right now, Arizona State's going through some really tough times, and Arizona State's going to have to fend off. And the decent news for Arizona State is it's not like Dillingham. A lot of ADs, I don't know if ADs are going to understand the job that Kenny Dillingham's doing this year. I mean, playing swinging gate, literally having their running back throw passes. I mean, maybe the UCLA AD will see it because it was right in front of his face. But really how great this defense with Brian Ward has been this year, how creative their schemes are, and what they're doing at a school that really could be, like I'm telling you, like 2-10, could be a total disaster. They're competing in every game. They're playing a brand of football that is appreciative for somebody even out here on the East Coast that watches them play late at night on the West Coast. So it's something to monitor there. Jedd, Fisch, Kenny Dillingham, the Arizona coaches. I mean, Jedd Fisch is going to be in line for that UCLA job for sure. He's from UCLA. I think he went there as well. It's going to be interesting to see how this all shakes out. Odds are Dillingham stays at Arizona State, but there needs to be a lot of, cleaning up there with the athletic department and with NIL, and they need to continue to get better and better to really put Arizona State on a firm footing heading into a new conference.